How's it going, everyone? It's Harvey from Weather Sponge 5000. Today is January 18th, 2022, and of course, in this video, we're going to focus on the next major East Coast snowstorm that now has a higher probability of happening this weekend for many states along the East Coast. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather delay content. Make sure to like if you like this video, and make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather delay content. So let's begin by taking a look at the current radar for provided from the European model, or at least the forecasted radar provided from the European model. And you see right now we do have a small clipper system moving just north of the United States and Canadian border. At least the snow showers are pretty much just to the north of the United States border, but we are seeing some snow showers right around Michigan and the extreme northern portions of Wisconsin and Minnesota. And while this won't necessarily be our next East Coast snowstorm, this clipper system is going to be key because it's going to bring that strong northerly flow and a lot of that Arctic air further southward that will pretty much set up for a recipe for the major snowstorm to occur along the East Coast this weekend. Because if I were to show you the forecast, you see that right behind this low pressure system there's a strong northerly flow, and you could easily tell by how closely packed these isobars are, which represents a strong pressure gradient, especially between this ridge that's located towards Western Canada and of course this low pressure system that's going to be just to the north of the Great Lakes region within around 12 to 18 hours. So we should see a very strong northerly flow that should bring that cold air further southward, and it's going to interact with the Gulf of Mexico, the warmer Gulf of Mexico air mass that's going to be packed with humidity, and we're going to see a lot more convection and just a lot more buoyancy right around the southeast for another new low pressure system to form, and that will become our next major snowstorm for the northeast. So if I were to continue to move forward, you see that the jet stream dips pretty far southward, like I said, as a result of a strong northerly flow, and we see showers build right along this jet stream dip, and pretty much a little bit of a frontal boundary forms where we're seeing rain showers throughout the southeast and even some thunderstorm activity occurring further southward closer to Louisiana, Mississippi, and even as far west as Texas. And while it might be a possibility of maybe some severe weather, but I think it's going to be isolated, as there shouldn't be at least enough unstable air for a lot of lift to occur for an extreme severe weather to occur. But there is certainly that possibility about how far south this jet stream is dipping. But you see the showers do move a little bit northward, and you could see some snow showers right along the Ohio Valley and maybe even further eastward closer to Washington, D.C., New York City, Philadelphia. In those regions, maybe you will receive some snow showers midweek or pretty much within the next 48 hours as this frontal boundary moves through. And we're going to see temperatures cold enough for some snow showers, while for the most part, the snow should be maybe around an inch or a little bit more than an inch if you're lucky. But I'd say for areas such as New York City, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., I'd expect probably just a dusting or maybe no snow at all, as there just isn't going to be enough moisture, or there isn't going to be a large enough area of snow for a heavy amount of snow to occur midweek. But this isn't the main snowstorm I'm talking to you guys about, because it's gonna happen later during the week. Because like I said, you see there's a big jet stream dip, but it dips even further southward, and we sort of see a negative tilt with the jet stream, where we're seeing the jet stream sort of shift to in a position where it's bringing a slight northeasterly flow right around the Midwest. And when we see a negative tilt like that, that means that the air is going to be highly unstable, and we're going to see a ridge build right around the Midwest that's going to pretty much bring a very sharp jet stream dip for a new, more powerful low pressure system to develop, as you could see right here. Because as this frontal boundary pretty much passes by, we see another low pressure system develop right along the southeast, right around the Carolinas and Georgia, just off the coast. And we do see a little bit of mixing and snow showers throughout North Carolina, South Carolina as well. And this snow could be heavy at times. Now, compared to yesterday's run, the European model isn't as lenient as bringing the heaviest snow as far northward as, let's say, the its previous run, because like in the previous run I showed you yesterday, the European model was a lot more lenient on bringing a much more powerful snowstorm to the northeast that would dump over a foot of snow in some areas. And while that still certainly could be the case for the mid-Atlantic based on this run of the European model, it might not necessarily be the case any longer for areas further northward and northeast. I'd say pretty much north of Washington D.C. So this would mean that you guys would experience less snow in the northeast and more snow closer to the mid-Atlantic. I'm talking about North Carolina, Virginia, and the Delmar Peninsula could receive over foot in this scenario. But it seems like the European model is now leaning towards a track where the low pressure moves a little bit more eastward than before, and that means that the northeast misses out on the heaviest snow, as it's primarily focused right around the mid-Atlantic and of course just off the northeast coast. So it's a definitely interesting of a change. And based on the GFS models run from yesterday, like I showed you, where the GFS model wasn't really taking much of anything outside of maybe a couple of snow showers in the southeast, you would assume that now the forecast is more likely going to impact the southeast or maybe be more of a fish storm. But that isn't necessarily the case either, because even the GFS model now is leaning towards the European model's track. And this is certainly good news because this gives us a lot more certainty with the forecast. So if I were to show you the GFS model run, what's interesting is that the latest 18Z run is coming out as I speak right now. I'm not sure if it's going to be fully loaded to the point where I can show you this next what it's forecasting for this next upcoming snowstorm. If I were to show you the 18Z run, we could check it out right now. So if I were to show you the GFS model run right around the 18Z run, give me just 1 second. Okay, so the 18Z model run has just came out, and as you can see, we're seeing snow. We're gonna see the GFS model is now leaning more towards the European model's case, where we're gonna see a snowstorm right along the mid-Atlantic. You see, this is very similar to the European model, and that's certainly good news because that gives us more confidence that we're gonna see a pretty powerful snowstorm for the Northeast this coming weekend for the at least for the more of the mid-Atlantic states such as Virginia, North Carolina, and Delmar Peninsula. So that's suddenly going to give us more confidence, but we still need to wait and see because I'd say still probably around 3 to 4 days out. So things could certainly change within the next couple hours. But you see that the GFS model isn't even bringing much snow at all. I'd say north of maybe Philadelphia. So this would certainly mean that this will be more of a mid-Atlantic snowstorm rather than northeast snowstorm if this were the case. Let's show you guys the total accumulated snowfall to really give a good idea of how much snow you should expect based on the GFS model's case at this point. So, but what really will determine the amount of snow you receive is really it really all depends on how strong northerly winds are associated with this Clipper system that's in the right around the Great Lakes at this time, which I stated yesterday. But now it seems like both the computer models been more have detected the northerly winds today, and now they have a more confident forecast that yes, we will see a mid-Atlantic snowstorm headed into this weekend, and it should be pretty big. It won't be necessarily as big as what the European model was saying yesterday, but still could bring a hefty amount of snow to the mid-Atlantic. You see that the GFS model does want to bring over 6 inches of snow, a good area of 6 to 12 inches, and we do see a little bit of over 3 inches of snow right around New Jersey and extending to southern New England. However, I'd say there's more associated with this first snowstorm that's going to move through, not necessarily a second one that's moving through the mid-Atlantic. But even then, you still at least need to be aware of this first snowstorm moving through through the Ohio River Valley and the mid-Atlantic, because you still should expect a decent amount of snow in those areas off of this first snowstorm moving through. So that's definitely something you want to pay very, very close attention to if you're right around the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic. So I'd say the confidence is definitely higher than yesterday. So you should expect a snowstorm for a lot of the Mid-Atlantic at this time. So let's move forward to see what the GFS model is forecasting with this first snowstorm. You see that, like I said, we're going to see a frontal boundary form, and the GFS model is a little bit more lenient on bringing the area of snow a little bit larger than what the European model is saying. So there is a possibility you could receive 1 to 3 inches of snow, maybe along the East Coast as well, like New York City, Philadelphia, Washington D.C. At this point, I'd expect maybe around an inch on Thursday, maybe less than that. There is still that possibility you don't receive any snow, but still at least something to pay attention to when it comes to this first snowstorm. And then of course we're gonna have that big major snowstorm right around this weekend where we should see over 6 inches of snow right around North Carolina and Virginia. So that's definitely something you want to keep in mind, but there's still uncertainty, so I'll make sure to update you guys once we get a little bit more certain with the forecast. So and I want to show you the wind gusts that are happening, and you see that we're seeing strong wind gusts right around the northern Midwest at this time, where we're seeing wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour. And the reason why I'm showing you this is because those northerly winds are gonna be are pretty much going to be key in determining how much unstable air there is. And since we're seeing just enough of a strong northerly wind component bringing that Arctic air further southward at a quicker pace, we're more likely to see a very unstable environment for the southeast for a snowstorm to occur, and a very sharp jet stream dip that should allow for a strong southeasterly flow to steer the low pressure system further northward for our next major snowstorm to occur for the Mid-Atlantic. So it's definitely so it seems like all signs are pointing towards a major snowstorm becoming more likely for this weekend for the Mid-Atlantic. So that's definitely something you want to keep in mind. Now let's move on to my snowfall forecast for the Mid-Atlantic. Give me just 1 second here. Moving forward to my snowfall forecast. Okay, let me show you guys my modern one. This was yesterday's snowfall forecast, where the European model was expecting a little bit more snow. Now let's take a look at. So here's my snowfall forecast for this next coming snowstorm. Like I said, major winter storm is more likely now. I'm expecting around 6 to 12 inches for the Delmar Peninsula, extending further southward into North Carolina, where Raleigh could get involved, as well at Raleigh, North Carolina. Richmond, Virginia could get involved. Virginia Beach definitely needs to pay close attention to this, as a major snowstorm is now a little bit more likely. So this is definitely something you want to pay close attention to. I'm expecting 1 to 3 for the areas further northward. This might be associated with this will probably more be associated with this first snowstorm moving through, but again, there's still a lot of uncertainty with the forecast around 4 days out. So I'll make sure to update you guys once we get a little bit more confidence, because the forecast is certainly subject to change over the next several days. But yeah guys, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather related content. Make sure to like if you like this video, and I hope you guys have a great day.